So welcome back, this is Zwift number 82. Zwift number 80 was extremely popular, had a huge amount of clicks on it, over 500 people viewed the video. This week, stage 2, electric brake, is on Mercury Island, and it begins in Yoko Harbour in the Pens there, then through the Castle Park Sprint Arch, then through the loop around and head towards Mercury Islands in the Urakazi area by going down through the descent into Pain Cavern. Then it doubles back on itself over there, and then you come back up through that area on the biggest ascent of the race. But here we are today. Hopefully that'll give you an idea of where we're racing. We had 199 people start the race, which is a couple more than last Monday. There were 229 people who had said that they were going to enter, but only 199 entered. We're in the 210 to 330 category. 510 on Monday evening in the UK. I've got a Zwift racing score of 320 still. It's not altered for about the last 3 or 4 races, give or take 1 point. We're going to be doing 19.6 kilometres, 203 metres of incline. Most of the inclines you can see in the mini map are towards the middle and then the end as we come back through the Pain Cavern. So you can see here we are 1.8 kilometres into the race, and when I was riding tonight I was actually thinking about how the start was quite hard going and hoping for it to settle down. It did settle down after about a kilometre, and I was able to fit in with all these riders. I'm assuming that because we had 199 people racing, that you can see on the mini-map I'm right at the back of the yellow blobs, and we all blob up here in a group, but there's literally nobody behind me, and I'm assuming that's because Zwift will only show 100 riders. So if I do start to drift back through the group, you can see I'm in the 60s and 70th positions now. You'll see that there's absolutely nobody behind me, and I think that's the reason why. So there must have been other riders behind me, but they just didn't show up. So I've settled in now. We're 3 kilometres into the race, obviously at double speed in the video, just to keep it moving along a little bit quicker. Average watts is 243, which is good. If I can keep it up at that high, that would be really pleasing. The races last week were averaging at 240, but they were only half the distance, so really not able to compare. But if I can get it close to 240 this week, that'd be really pleasing. So you can see I'm settling in now with the rest of the riders. There's a huge bunch of us. I'm not entirely sure whether, out of those 190 riders, all of them are settling in this group. So even if you see a leader here, they could easily drop back to 150th position. So this is the descent, a third of the way into the race. So able to ease off a little bit. You can see my watts drop down below 200 shortly as we start to drop down the hill, and therefore my average watts will also decrease. Heart rate is at 145, so that's really pleasing as well. A couple of riders pop off the front for a few seconds, but predominantly most of the group are still together, and I'm easing off gently as we come down the hill. You can see there's quite a long descent as we go through the Pain Cavern, and then we'll eventually come out the other side where it will flatten out before we go to the far end of the course and then start doubling back up through this area here. So yeah, just keeping up with the rest of the riders, keeping my heart rate reasonably settled. Watts, as I've said previously, are quite low, so that's quite good as well, because I'm just able to ease off. Just wanted to keep with the front riders, working hard. Cadence reasonably high, but I'm in my lowest gear possible, so I'm pushing a big gear, especially going down the hill. Here's where it flattens off, so you get a little bit of respite continuing after the downhill along this flatter area, and then there is a slight uphill. It's only a brief uphill, and you can see that we've only done 30 metres of incline and we are 2/5 of the way into the race, so not much climbing to have been done so far. Here's that little punchy incline. I'm able to get up out of my saddle and just work it well, getting it up into the top 20 positions in the race, so that was pleasing, but just making sure that if there were any splits that I would be on the right side of it. But the difficulty is not really knowing whether there are any splits behind us really, so that was just something to keep an eye on. So we continue now along the flat. That slight incline is now gone, and it's not until we're over halfway through the race where we'll come up against another incline which will start to split the group. You can see there's a split here. Possibly the first 40 riders have all disappeared off, but the riders just in front of me are able just to work a little bit harder, and this gap that you can see at the moment, especially you see it a little bit clearer on the mini map in the top right hand corner, you can see that we are able to bring it back together again shortly as we all start to work. But you can see that it is starting to stretch the train. You can see that we are all stretched out in almost single file now, and this is the point where the riders come back together and that group has disappeared. But back in 64th position, you can still see there's a number of riders behind me. So again, I'm going to have to say it again, sorry for this commentary, but I don't know how big the group is, but hoping that I'll be able to see a split between ourselves and some riders. So what I will try and keep an eye on is the positions where you can see I'm in the 60s now, but everybody else in and around me is also 0 seconds behind me. So here we are back up through the pain cave, and the first real push of any incline. I knock it up a few gears, hence the reason why you can see my cadence has just gone up into the 80s, so I'm spinning a faster gear, and but feeling quite good here really, feeling that I can stay with the other riders. My position is slightly going backwards, but there's no real huge gap as we continue to ascend. Obviously, not having done this course before, I wasn't aware of how long the incline was going to carry on for, and as you can see from the mini map in the centre, the cross section, you can see that it's still going to keep going up and up and up and up, and you can also see now that we're almost single file, and the group is really stretched, so possibly I'm at my limits now to keeping with the rest of the riders in front. Although I am spinning a nicer gear, my heart rate's not out of its range the way I'd want to see it. I can live with it being in the 160s or low 160s, but you can see that there's more powerful riders in front. Although that might not be totally accurate, they might not be more powerful, they might just be able to be more efficient due to their lower weight. I'm still weighing in at 92 kilograms, and climbing for me and my efficiency therefore suffers as I start to climb. But you can see we're almost at the top of that first incline. As as we continue to climb, you can see that we're nearly at the top now, and hopefully I can settle back in with a little group. So you can see there's about 3 or 4 riders, well 3 riders just ahead, and then a small gap between us and the group ahead. So I'm just wanting to make sure that I can keep with all these riders. I'm hoping that the 3 riders ahead will catch with the 4 or 5 ahead. So just making sure that if I push hard over this last incline that you can see we're just about to come to, that there'll be a nice group of us that will be able to work together. So we've been joined by a couple of riders behind me. I'm in with about 4 or 5 other riders, but I'm still conscious of those 4 riders, 5 riders you can see out in front. So at this point I get up out of the saddle and power up over the last final section, actually go past them, which is not what I was expecting to do. So after going past them, I just settled back in, and relaxed a little bit. Tried to get my heart rate to recover, because you can see it's close to 170 now, and just wanted to settle in. I was also hoping that we might be able to catch some of the riders in front, but we'll see if that happens, because we are all stretched out now. I was hoping we'd just blob up a little bit at this point, but that didn't materialise, so just had to keep working hard and just wanted to see what happened ahead. But 16th position, I was pleased with that at this point, and you can actually see that the riders ahead of us have been caught. So there's around about 12-15 of us at this point in this group, so that's really, really pleasing. So just panned through to the rest of the riders ahead, just seeing how far ahead they are. And you've got this group, which is the front group, but what I didn't realise at the time, that Freswold from Norway, T Freswold, Trolls Freswold, was 19 seconds ahead, which is a ridiculous lead to have. So probably some questions to be asked by some of the other riders at this point. So here's us. We're riding along in our group of around about 15 riders in the 60th position. I think the front rider was 54th. And if I am able to go forward a few positions in the race, yeah, there we go. Jay Boswell, 11 seconds ahead. So the group ahead of us are 11 seconds. And you can see now that the map is started, the mini map in the top right is starting to show a few of the other riders. So the riders ahead are 11 seconds. And well, 12 now, so they're actually pulling away from us. And if I did ease off a little bit, which I'm hoping to be able to show you, then you will also see how far back the riders are behind. So let's keep an eye. There we go, 11-12 seconds. So yeah, just similar gap to the group behind as well. So just scrolling through the rest of the riders again. There's a group of around about 20 in the front group. There's Freswold again, now 22 seconds ahead of Marriott and a couple of other riders who are close by. But Freswold at this point seems to have a complete hold on the race. Don't know if he's riding out of category, don't know if he's had a break off the bike for a long time, but to get a lead in such a big field of 20 seconds is a bit ridiculous. So there's something up there somewhere, but I shouldn't judge. I'm not entirely sure what the reason would be. So 4 kilometres to go. I'm still riding along with my 15 or so riders, but you can see that we're just about to hit the bottom of the slope that takes us all the way up to the finish line. We're currently 3.9 kilometres from the end. I think it starts within the last 3 kilometres where it starts to ramp up. So we'll just keep an eye on that, but I will also be able to show you the front riders going over the finish line. And although I did the same last time where I wasn't focusing on my own ride towards the end, I didn't feel as though I eased off too much, but I did get caught by quite a few riders around me. But here we go again, riding with H. Dale in 6th position, it says there, but Freswold's gap is now down to 15 seconds. P. Vort is leading the charge and leading the chase. He's got David Barsatelli behind him. But then back to myself, I'm now in 70th position, and I'm aware that the riders behind me are 10 seconds behind. After scrolling through and watching the leaders, that's given the other riders an opportunity, because of my lack of focus, to distance themselves from me. I did put a little burst in here to see if I could catch back hold of them, but I was aware that with the front riders getting closer to the finish, I was just going to scroll back through the field, and probably my concentration and focus would be lost again. So here we have David Barsatelli again. He's now only 5 seconds behind Troels Freswold. So it looks like we've got a good finish, and we've got just over kilometres to go. We're 19.6 kilometres, are we, or 19.5? 19.6 kilometres, so just over a kilometre to go. They're still rising and still going up the incline, which is in staggered sections. There's quite a lot of orange, then yellow, and then you'll still get the odd blue section where it flattens out. But Barcatelli goes past Freswold at this point, so I'm thinking good. That's pleasing to see that he wasn't able to keep that gap and he was going to get caught by other riders. You can see that Henkins is also have also closed the gap as well, and some of the riders behind are just 10 seconds behind, so it has closed up a little bit, and Freshwold has been caught and maybe peaked a little bit early. But here we go now. We've got a few more corners before we get into the finish line. This is where Freshwold though puts in a little burst, goes past Barcatelli. Barcatelli chases him down, puts some orange numbers down, but eventually Freshwold takes the lead. Then we go back to third, fourth and fifth. Then we start to move through the group. There's Fabrice Pronk, who finished in about fifth position, sixth position. But already we're back to riders in 17th position. Here we're following La Conservière, then M. Cook in 19th position, followed by Jay Curtis coming over in 22nd. But you can see we're all quite strung out now at this point. There's a group of 4 or 5 riders going over the finish line. Then we're back to Plazier, back in 36th position. So I'm looking now at the positional map and looking to see if I'm going to pop up in around 70th position, which is where I left the group that I was riding with. So here's some of the riders that I was riding through those final sections, but we're already back to 65th, and you can see how quickly they're coming over the finish line. But now we're back to 83rd position and I'm nowhere to be seen. Here's F. Surku, who's riding in 83rd position. Then P. Higgin. And I think eventually at this point, yes, there's myself, just riding back in 99th position. I'm actually following the other rider who's right on my shoulder, but I'm able to put a bit of a burst in and come over the line in 99th position. 231 watts, average 2.5, so it wasn't at the 240 mark, but it wasn't terrible. I've got a few things unlocked, including the stage 2, so I'll continue to do this race series every Monday. But now if we go through the top 10, first over the line we had Trolls Freeswald in 31 minutes and 10. He's increased his Zwift racing score by 44, followed by David Barcatelli, just a quarter of a second back. Third, Elliot Hughes. Fourth, Fabrice Pronk. All of these riders getting huge increase in their Zwift racing score, so I'm likely to see them next Monday. Fifth, we had Levian Henkins. Sixth, Jonas Doar. Seventh, Florian Samander. Eighth, Pivot. Ninth was Nicholas Charpentier. And 10th was Howard Dale, whose time was 23 seconds behind. And Howard's actual Zwift racing score has decreased, so he must have been in a really good position last time. So all in all, quite pleased with how I got on. Hopefully loads of people will watch again. I'll send a link out to those people, and if you're really bored through the week, maybe you could watch it twice and I can get 500 views again. So please subscribe, please like, please comment. I had a very high number of likes and a high number of comments last week, which is always interesting. People seem to like the videos. It's for us lesser mortals who aren't A or B category riders, so just hopefully it's something that you can use and take on board in regards to routes. So like I said, please subscribe and thanks for watching. I'll catch you again at the end of the week.